So they're just going to be able to try to shut him down with the bans. This puts more pressure on other players. Other players on Immortals have to step up and be that real carry threat. You know, I think at times, Revenge has really showcased some of his strengths, but I think he has had trouble transitioning leads that he gets into winning games. That has been his struggle that I've seen on stage. And Tactical, while we know he can be a really big win condition for the team, he also has a propensity to make mistakes and to throw away advantages at times. He hasn't found that consistency to really be that true kind of shining star.
I mean, everybody always remembers the double lift tier list joke of Tactical's either S tier or he's F tier, depending on what day it is, because the consistency varies so much with this player. His highs are incredibly high, but his lows are equally low. And so if they can find that sort of consistency you're talking about, I think they'll feel a lot better. It's Jace, Caitlyn, Elise, Kindred, Graves, and Varus all banned away as the Ashe is first pick for Immortals. It's the Maokai and Zeri response from C9.
It's so funny because I said like Kane was the other one that he was known for, right? And if he actually locked it in, that would be pretty hype. Probably not going to get it, but I would still like to see him playing carries, right? You know, enable him in that way.
I feel like we're going to get by maybe.
Sejuani is a strong pick, and he's hovering it, so we are going to get Sejuani, unfortunately. I don't think, you know, this is like a bad pick. It is a strong pick in the meta, but I just don't necessarily think it's playing towards his strengths. What I will say is that Revenge loves playing melee carries top lane, and that does facilitate that very, very well with Sejuani, so maybe they're going to look towards that sort of a style. With the Ashe, it's almost guaranteed to be support. That's almost exclusively where we've been seeing it. I want to see what the pairing is. If they go with Sivir, I mean, you're definitely going to have a lot of wave clear. You are going to have push, but it's not like an overwhelming amount of poke by any means or anything like that. So it feels like a little bit disjointed. I feel like, personally, I have liked more when I've seen Ashe support paired with other champions that can poke and really kind of, you know, more go for like PvP than the kind of the PvE, which is how I see Sivir.
I mean, the Ashe support became popular with Hail of Blades level 1. I'm just going to run at you and machine gun you with arrows, right? I want somebody that also has a machine gun ready to go, right? You bring
Sivir will have one.
Boomerang,
you just have to give her 45 minutes, and then she'll have that machine gun.
She's got to go buy her machine gun first.
She's got to craft it.
Okay. Oh, no, dude, we're playing a craft
It's lovingly handmade. It's not like you're not ordering that machine gun from Amazon. It's coming from Etsy.
You got to chop down trees to build it. I need 600 wood planks.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to take some time.
Unlucky. But we do have the Zeri-Lulu combo drafted as the response to it. Generally, when you see Zeri, if Lulu's available, that's going to be the pick ever since Yuumi was deleted from the game of League of Legends circa 2023. So we do have those mirrored first half of the drafts that we've come to expect here in Season 13 with jungle and bottom lanes being drafted in first 3 picks. That means it's solo lane city here for the second half bans, and Renekton has been getting more and more popular recently. They're going to ban that away. Yone, one of those picks that they're going to keep away from Cloud9.
Yeah, and we saw it twice yesterday as his answer into Azir. So AblazeOlive maybe kind of tipping his hand that he wants to go towards an Azir here with that ban. So it'll be interesting to see if C9 actually want to ban out the Azir themselves or potentially even take it away as a response, because that is very much showing, hey, this is what I am looking to play. Yone has almost only been used in that situation, and there is the response ban. So tit for tat, I think smart drafting here so far, you know, from Cloud9. Banning away the Renekton, that just feels like a revenge comfort pick and also a good pairing with the Sejuani. Fudge also may be concerned, you know, about those potential early ganks if he's going to play something that is a little bit more vulnerable up on that top side. Because we don't know yet if Fudge is going to be blind here or if it is going to be that 5th pick for him, and Diplex will be picking blind.
Last ban on the blue side will be Fiora. So going to focus on one of those potential picks that Fudge could run over there. Ooh, a cat.
Wait, where is that cat? Is that in the studio?
Can I get some plink in chat?
Aw.
Whoa. That's awesome. Okay.
Why don't we have a cat?
We need a cat for the LCS.
We do. Or a dog.
Both.
Yeah.
Let's just get both.
True.
Yeah. Wait, where's Buttons?
He's asleep, guaranteed.
Oh, okay.
That's what he does 80% of his life.
Okay, well.
He wakes up only to refresh himself to get ready to go back to sleep.
Get ready to prepare for the next round.
Prepare for the next sleep. He's like, whoa.
That's a tough job.
That nap was tiring.
Tough job.
Time to get ready for my next one.
We got Jax locked in for Cloud9. They're going to go ahead, blind pick that one for the top lane there for Fudge. Over on the side of Immortals, they'll pick the Viktor with the Azir banned away. They're saying, all right, well, that's the, if you want the hyper scaling mid lane heavy head-to-head, it's always Azir versus Viktor. Azir's gone, so they'll just pick the Viktor for themselves.
And so far, it feels like they're drafting for team fight. So will Revenge actually step away from a carry and draft just like a tank? Because this is screaming 5v5. You have Sivir, Sejuani, and Viktor, right? You're looking to scale. You're looking for 5v5. A Revenge could play something for side lane, but then if it doesn't go well, it's going to be harder to actually join the team fight. Gnar, I think, is a pretty decent middle ground. You know, it's not something that is like a monster in the team fight by any means. It's still winless, by the way. We actually decided that. First win for Jace. Congratulations, Jace. We never celebrated that.
And it's also technically still keeping NA Jace at 0% win because NA Jace is a top laner and that Jace was
that was a mid laner.
So yeah, we actually managed
so
to find
both of them
still
suck.
Still 0.
That's perfect.
Yep, we're in there, baby. But one champion who doesn't suck is Sylas, and he is the final pick of the draft here for C9. Diplex gonna pilot that one into the Viktor of AblazeOlive.
Yeah, and people always would talk about, you know, seeing Alistar on the other team when you're playing a Sylas, but Gnar is very spooky as well. There's a nasty amount of damage that can come out from that.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Sejuani ult's great to steal. There's actually a lot of really good ones. Basically everything except Sivir. And even situationally, maybe the Sivir ult could be useful. But Ashe arrow really, really strong. The boys called off work.
Let's go.
We love to see it. Way to show up. It's going to be an interesting game. Both teams, I think, do have reasonably strong 5v5. I like C9's chances in the side lane a little bit better. I do think Gnar has to be pretty careful about how you're playing out these.
Are inverse. It's 5 and 2 versus 2 and 5. So from the perspective of Immortals, who do have their backs against the wall in this matchup, where do you think they need to focus early to set themselves up for success against a squad like C9 that is at the top of the table?
Yeah, I would say there's no like super easy win conditions for them because they're kept scaling on the other side too. You know, generally when you see Viktor as well as Sivir, you just go late, but there's also Lulu, Zeri on the other side, which is pretty spooky. I do think they have to play for priority in that bottom lane, especially because Fleshy is playing barrier. So when you're going barrier Hail of Blades, you basically need to just be walking in the face of your opponent at level 1 and really trying to play for that dominance. Yep. They want to try to set up tactical for success here because Berserker has been such a win condition for C9 for so many of their games. So if they can really enable this bottom lane, get them ahead, utilize the power of this Ashe, they can maybe put themselves in a pretty good spot.
And hitting those arrows always goes a long way, too, depending on how well you can go fishing during the game. Of course, Diplex will have the opportunity to fire off some arrows of his own as the game goes forward. Something to always keep track of when Sylas is in the game is exactly which ultimates he's prioritizing.
Which Ashe is better.
Yeah, who's going to be the true sniper here between those arrows? Revenge and Fudge up there on the top side. Fudge is somebody who's never shy to go after these potential level 1 scuffles in open ground without any minions around or anything like that. Diplex going to drop the ward and see that Kenvi is starting on the chicken camp here for Sejuani. Nothing really out of the ordinary with that, as both junglers are going to be doing the same thing on the respective sides of the map.
And you can notice how Revenge hadn't actually skilled up an ability yet. You don't just want to walk in and actually start Q, because if you walk in and start Q, then Jax can start Leap Strike and just jump on you, and that can become problematic. Now he's actually skilling it up as he gets the push on the wave, because then it's much harder for Fudge to actually go aggressive. Fudge, though, starting to Counter-Strike, walks forward, gets Counter-Strike, gets Grass Proc. Nice little trade for himself there. But it does feel like Fudge is going to have to sit back, and as soon as you lose Prio on that wave, it's going to be just a kind of wait and see type thing. You have to sit back, let it come to you, farm what you can.
Revenge hitting level 2 first, also having the Gnar bar mostly charged means if Fudge wanted to try to scrap right now, it would pretty much be a universally bad idea. So time to just chill, wait and see what can happen a little bit further forward. Remember that Blaber on that Maokai point and click twisted advance remains just an incredibly powerful ganking tool if the Gnar does stay pushed up. Diplex gonna go in after AblazeOlive. Kenvi shows up, Gravity Well gets placed down, forces the flash back out of the C9 mid laner.
Yeah, nice counter gank there from Kenvi. It's the ghost of the flash trade. Sure, Diplex actually hits his E, but Blaber cannot flash in there once they see Kenvi. There's no shot. So it is going to be the longer cooldown actually spent here from Diplex. And while Diplex, I think, has been good outside of lane, he has been struggling in lane quite consistently. And that's something that he is going to have to work on to try to really round out his game. Consistently, I think Blaber is often coming up to try to help him. They're trying to enable him, and then he does pay it back once it gets to those 5v5s, once it gets to those skirmishes, but seems to struggle in lane, I think, in a lot of these cases.
And AblazeOlive's just going to go ahead, harass him a little bit more as he pushes this up. Just guarantee that you're getting the maximum value out of that ranged versus melee matchup here with the Viktor into Sylas early on. And with Diplex half health, almost no mana, Sylas isn't a champion that has incredibly cheap mana cost that can just keep spamming out everything forever. He's going to go ahead, head back, grab himself a Doran's Ring, teleport back to lane with fresh resource bars ready to go. Refillable potion also purchased up for a bit more sustain. Blaber still hanging around mid lane here, walks forward, drops another ward next to the chicken pit. Meanwhile, bottom side, Fleshy getting run down here by Berserker and Zven. Berserker flashes, it'll be traded for the barrier of Fleshy. So overall, better summoner spell trade for Immortals, but Fleshy is so weak, he has to go back to base, he has to go back to the fountain and heal. So Berserker and Zven are gonna maintain control over the bottom.
Yeah, he will be back to base, and it's not even just the length of the summoner though, it's the fact that it's Berserker's flash. That is actually, you know, much more concerning. He is more susceptible to the ganks. Of course, he does still have cleanse, but could be pretty dicey. And they're going to look for AblazeOlive.
Diplex goes in, flash into the twisted advance, Bramble smash for the first blood. But Blaber will die in response as the gravity well from AblazeOlive's Viktor locks Blaber down long enough for Kenvi to sweep in and the turret to do most of the work.
And Diplex actually be careful now, because he could potentially get killed off there by Kenvi, but his wave is screwed. Like, look how many more red minions there are. So he can't actually fully leave. All those range minions will hard push into his opponent, so he wants to bounce that. But Fleshy is around, and so is Kenvi. At the very least, he will reset it. Fleshy can maybe grab a little bit of this experience, so not too bad. Nice kill there, and I think at the end of the day, it's about an even trade, slightly favored to Cloud9 because they actually get the first blood themselves, and it is a trade of flashes from jungler to mid laner.
And up here in top side, Revenge is going to work towards building himself a nice little CS lead over the Jax. You can see that he's already up +7, and he has more minions to farm with the greater wave being pushed up by Fudge, so scaring Fudge back a little bit as Fudge wants to re-engage here with a counter-strike. Revenge down to 150 HP. Gnarbar's just about ready to go. Remember that when you transform into Mega, you do get a heal from it as well. So I don't think Revenge is actually concerned about a dive here. This shouldn't be.
Yeah, he's absolutely fine. You know, and just doing his best to actually just tax those resources of Fudge, continually poke away at him. He's playing Fleet. He's actually going to stop the recall. Fudge is in trouble.
He missed the Mega Q. Already used the ulti there, so not going to have the opportunity to get the kill.
Yeah, not quite going to be able to get that, unfortunately, for him. Wave is in parity. Both of them are actually going to base. This is like where it's just full RNG on which way it pushes, and sometimes it can actually go heavily to one side or the other, which can be pretty annoying. But we'll see exactly which way it goes. Both of them are just going to TP back, so not too big of a deal. Better buy, of course, you know, there for Revenge. He did have more gold when he went back. He's got the tabbies. Move speed so big in these types of matchups.
Oh, yeah. Being able to kite somebody out or being able to run somebody down that's trying to kite you determines so much of the damage, right?
And especially with Gnar, because the way that your pattern works against these melee champions is they go in on you, they use their upfront burst, and then you have to chase them down, actually kite them with AblazeOlive in some trouble. Should be able to block it out, but you know, it's all about the return damage after the initial trade. Jax jumps forward with Counter-Strike, you're stunned up, you take that chunk, you kind of take the L, and then you try to use your move speed with the hyper proc and everything to chase him down and really punish him on the exit from that trade.
Diplex going in for the dive. Solos out AblazeOlive. Isaac, you said that Diplex needed to step up that laning phase here for C9, and he's doing it as he finds the solo kill on the IMT mid laner. Now Kenvi under pressure from Blaber and Zven. He's got Fleshy nearby. Oh, if Diplex hit that E2, Kenvi was just about to be a big old bucket of bacon.
Yeah, at the very least, would have been his flash there. Berserker now zoning here, trying to keep them back. But yeah, and very nicely done. I mean, they forced that flash earlier on that trade. You know, yeah, Blaber died, but he got the flash off of AblazeOlive. So AblazeOlive didn't have that summoner, and Diplex is able to punish him. Just really nicely done. You know, chunked him down with the stolen Viktor ult. And then Ablaze thought he was healthy enough that he could stay around. Got a little bit greedy, didn't want to give up the wave. He's not playing TP, remember. He is actually playing Ghost Flash. So in those situations, you can get punished very, very heavily if the wave is bad for you. And in this situation, wasn't willing to give it up, ends up getting solo killed.
Down here in bottom, you can see Tactical's about one wave behind Berserker and Zven, so nothing too bad in terms of those advantages being built. But let's take another look at how Diplex set this up for his own success after.
Yeah, Blaber is coming around, so he actually spots out Kenvi, and then they see Kenvi leave that brush, so he knows he's safe to go in there. He knows that the jungler is not going to be coming. He chunks him down very, very low here. And again, Ablaze has no TP, and look at how many minions are there. That's 10 plus minions. He's not willing to give it up, so he says, okay, if I just sidestep the E, I'm going to be fine. He has his Ghost, but it's not able to happen. Can't actually land the sidestep. Diplex gets in, lands the chains. It's gone to the duck neck, kills him off.
And even though he got that W down, even though the gravity well is there, that's a full HP Sylas.
Yep.
You're not going to get enough CC to get the kill back with the turret shots. It's Diplex topping out the gold charts right now as Berserker is in second place around 2,900. Tactical just right behind him there. Berserker going for the level 2 boots here immediately with Berserker's Greaves. Very common on Zeri because boot speed is so critical to the character. Tactical straight rushing towards that mythic item. So even though he is slightly behind in gold, he should have the mythic completion earlier than Berserker, unless Berserker is able to find some kills between now and then. We are going to have the typical neutral objective trade here around 8-9 minutes. First Drake is being taken by Immortals, first Rift Herald being taken by Cloud9.
And both those ADs were basically on perfect farm, right? You know, there's no minions for the first minute and a half in the game. We're about 8.5 minutes into the game, and it was 86 to 81 CS, right? So they are farming nearly perfectly on that bottom side, doing a really good job keeping that up, you know, significantly ahead of the rest of the map. But Revenge, you know, looking pretty good so far up in that top lane, building towards Triforce here, almost guaranteed. We'll see if Fudge wants to go towards Thunder. It's very, very likely. It feels like Jax is almost always will default towards that, especially because he's playing against a pretty heavy HP stacker in Gnar.
Right, yeah, the Gnar's going to get tanky, Sejuani's going to be tanky, and you're going to have to deal with her sometimes too. Divine Sunder is going to feel pretty good in those types of situations, but Revenge versus Fudge, still very close. Fudge always getting aggressive whenever he can. It's like you say, if you're taking the grasp on this Jax, you want to play aggressively in the lane. You want to be able to trade back and forth with this guy, leap in every chance you get, and that's exactly how Fudge is going to do it. Revenge slamming him back into the wall, goes for the wallop, but Blaber is here to shadow his laner, make sure this can get shoved up, try to get him back. If that arrow would have hit, Revenge would have been able to find a kill there. I'm almost certain of it, but Fudge can walk it off. But now, they're ready to try to turn it around back onto Revenge, who ends up having to spend his flash there. If Kenvi can get something, it'll be worthwhile. Goes over the wall, goes to the ulti, flash out from Blaber. So Summoner Spell for Summoner Spell back in mid. Diplex versus Ablaze. Ablaze getting the better of him here at the start. Diplex low. Fleshy coming around to try to help him. Diplex stealing away the Ashe ult, but it won't matter. Immortals tie up the kills 2-2. Back up in the top side. Kenvi wants to get away, but Zven has given the wild growth over to Blaber. Kenvi escapes back down to his own support. He won't be killed, but a lot of attempts from both sides all over the map.
Yeah, very, very scrappy despite it's only 4 kills here. A lot of close calls there on both sides. Diplex wanted to get aggressive, wanted to actually look for that 1v1 again. He may have been able to do something in the 1v1, but honestly, it was looking pretty Ablaze favored. But as soon as Fleshy shows up, there was no shot he was going to be able to win out. And you have to say, Revenge has been doing a really good job, I think, up on this top side. Blaber multiple times has actually had to been called up to actually fix the wave to help him push in. Hasn't really been able to make it happen. Fleshy was spotted there. So I guess just showing us that. But unfortunately, Fleshy spotted again, I guess, and Berserker takes a freebie.
Yeah, Berserker, you can see he used the cleanse and he used his ultimate to take Fleshy out there. Fleshy did not use barrier, so must have just found himself in a spot. Berserker jumps the wall or something, insta pops him. He knows he's not getting away.
And you have no flash. If he cleanses your ult, what's barrier going to do? You're never going to win the 1v1. You have no damage compared to that Zeri, you know, in an extended fight. So unfortunately, it's going to be an easy kill there for Berserker, which is really not what you want. And yeah, he just walks in. There's a ward in the pixel brush. Spotted by this ward. So Berserker just waits. Season coming over. Ashe all cleansed out. And yeah, there's no need to use barrier. No shot you're going to live.
They even had the stolen Diplex Ashe ulti to try to fire it out and make it even easier for Berserker to do that. But even though it doesn't connect, Berserker still picks up his first kill of the game.
What's the count on the Ashe arrows? I think we're at 0 on both sides.
Yeah, they're
Battle for best Ashe. Battle for best Ashe rages on.
It continues. 0-0.
Goes
like
onwards.
like a soccer game.
Yeah.
I can say that because we're the NA region. Okay, let's see what Revenge and Fudge can get into up here still with the Gnar versus Jax matchup. It remains about the same as it has the entire time. Fudge trying to play aggressively, Revenge having a small lead in terms of the farm.
Yep. Yeah, I think he's done a good job in terms of pressure, though, and especially when you consider that Maokai has been up there a couple times. He has been, you know, doing a good job, and we'll see if Jax can kind of take over in those later stages, because Jax does scale really, really aggressively. Just going to drop Herald mid, get some more gold there into Diplex's pockets. Has been a pretty big investment, I think, from Blaber towards the top side.
Yeah.
Neither jungler has really gone bot at all. It's just been kind of both guys just turbo farming it up. You can see they're both past 10 CS per minute here, even relatively early on. And it's just been pressure up towards that top side really, really heavily. There's the one kill that did go over to Berserker, but Tactical was able to get a plate for himself. So gold really, really close between these two ADs.
Very, very important for Immortals if they want to be able to keep up with Cloud9 once we get into the mid-game. First Drake of the game did go Immortals' way. Remember, we had that handshake on neutral objectives with Cloud9 taking that first Herald. 45 seconds from now, our second Drake is going to spawn, and it's going to be right around the time that plates fall, and more importantly, that teleports become unleashed. So we could see some sort of a bait into a setup if the teams want to fight around that Drake.
Yeah, we'll see if they do. You can see that Cloud9 is starting to actually set up some vision in this area. They kind of have this triangle of wards here. There are a couple wards there from Immortals down on that bottom side as well. But it is, you know, this is going to become really, really obvious right now. When you see the red buff is up and Sejuani is not bot, Fudge knows for sure he's topside now, right? Like there's no reason that he wouldn't be down there around any of these camps on respawn if he was not actually looking for some sort of a play.
Oh, that was close. I like that attempt from Tactical.
Yeah, really, really close. You can tell Blaber got a little bit nervous. He forces out the smite.
Yeah.
And the smite, he doesn't actually have a second charge up, so he won't have smite for this on spawn, but he is going to start it up. His smite likely will be up by the time he would need it on this.
13 seconds left on the cooldown, so yeah, it'll be really close. Not quite ready when they would immediately want to use it. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, it's not like they were immediately under pressure and Immortals were walking up as they were getting it low. So still works out fine. No real consequence there for C9. Drake's tied at 1-1 means no real stacking chance, no opportunity there. Kimtech Rift means those super crazy mega-powered plants that can knock you a million miles away with a blast cone or give you the extra healing on the honey fruits. And we talked a little bit about the honey fruits and how those can influence these side lane matchups last game.
Yeah, it definitely can make a really big difference. You know, if you're actually getting control, you spend your resources to chunk someone down, then all of a sudden they just walk into the river, grab honey fruits, walk right back. Now you're the one who's actually really being pressured, and Fudge getting very aggressive. Yeah, flexing a bit here on Tactical, who's got to be careful.
Tactical and Fleshy both lost half HP to Fudge, and he just goes right back in looking for the kill, but he doesn't quite have the damage he needs to find it. Flashes back away as Zven keeps trying to support him, and Fudge grabs the kill on Kenvi. Now Tactical stuck in the alcove, and he's going to be the last man alive. It's a double kill over to Fudge. It's a triple kill over to Fudge. Spin that thing all the way around. A triple kill for Jax is not what IMT wanted to see.
Yeah, not at all, but they did not anticipate the interrupt on Revenge's teleport, and that's what that fight was all about. Diplex had to give his life to actually stop it, but he stops the Gnar from being able to come in. He loses the 1v1, but you almost don't even care because sure, he dies on the top side, but Jax has a triple now. He's gonna be way out ahead of the pace of this game and so difficult to deal with. So credit to Diplex, you know, getting in there, being able to stop it. I'm not sure if it was in tower range and that's what skewed the 1v1 or if it would have been a 1v1 that Revenge would win regardless. But either way, it's well worth his life.
Yeah, hopefully we can get a replay of it, check out exactly what happened there. But I agree with you. You take that play 10 times out of 10. I'll give you 1 death in exchange for a triple kill on my top laner that could become an absolute menace in the mid game.
And it just seemed like Tactical and Fleshy weren't really respecting the damage that Fudge could put out. He was really kind of just flexing on him. They walk forward, they start autoing him, he jumps in on one, he chunks him out, then Tactical walks forward, starts autoing him. Maybe they were just saying, bait them in, but oh god. That one landed, that Ashe all landed.
Adios.
Diplex on the board.
Yep, we got ourselves a point here. We also
still count when it's like he's literally touching you.
Totally counts.
Counts? All
totally
right.
counts. A hit's a hit.
There wasn't much aiming involved, but we're gonna put it on the board.
I've played solo queue in North America. I've seen people miss those, all right?
I mean, it counts, but it's kind of like, you know, you're trying to shoot trash into the, you know, throw something into the trash and then you put your hand inside it and you drop it.
And you just drop it in. I mean, hey, it still made it into the trash bin.
That's well, come on, bro. Not really, but I guess.
It's still in the bucket. Fudge gets slammed up into the wall here. Kenvi swoops in, but with Blaber ready to fire off his ulti, Immortals know they're not really going to find him here. Arrow hits from all the way down in mid lane. All right, Fleshy with a nice response. But unfortunately, no way for Immortals to follow that up. They can't engage on the Maokai when the Fed Jack is right next to him. The dive comes in. C9 brought everybody to the party, and they're still ready to keep on going. First turret falls. Blaber wants to stick onto Fleshy there, but he doesn't have the mana to keep the chase going. Fudge and Zven can still hang around long enough to try to push this up a little bit further. Maybe get a second charge. One onto the tier 2, try to get this lead even further ahead. Already 3.4 thousand gold ahead of Immortals. And the charge collides. Berserker and Fudge just gonna go in, finish off this tier 2. That's a massive amount of money, up to 4.3 thousand gold ahead at 18 minutes.
Yeah, Shelly 6 HP left, but gets the job done.
She did her job and she did it with honor.
Yep, well done, Shelly. And now Jax, unfortunately, 5-0-0 for Immortals. They tried to actually hold their ground under that turret, But it is so dangerous. You know, it's such a high amount of burst here that's actually coming through. And Revenge was mini. He didn't really have much of a rage bar to actually speak of. Yeah. They just jump straight on him. They immediately get that kill. And then Sejuani's never going to be able to finish anyone off by herself. So it becomes very, very difficult for them to actually fight back from that situation. I just feel like as soon as they knew Zven and Berserker were heading up there and they're trying to hold their ground on that tower, it's just so risky. Like maybe if Tactical and Fleshy got there a little bit earlier, they could have turned it around, but it just didn't happen.
No, Blaber's gonna go down here into bottom lane once more, using the sweeper to get rid of any of the vision that might be in his way. And continuing to look for opportunities to get Fudge further ahead. Diplex versus AblazeOlive up here in the top lane. Diplex already using that stolen ulti. Ablaze feeling confident to run after him now with that taken care of. Uses the ulti himself. Chaos Storm will tick away onto Diplex's health bar, but unfortunately, just getting hit by both parts of the queue chunks AblazeOlive right back with the same amount of strength. He has Kenvi nearby, so they should be able to still take the tier 1. And that will try to bring the game back a little bit closer, but for everything they take, Cloud9's looking for something else on the other side of the map. Blaber fires off the Maokai ult. Yes, it will connect onto Revenge, but it connects too late. He's too far behind his own lines. They don't want to pursue this and overcommit. Instead, they'll fall back to the tier 2, work to take that one out. Zven flashing away from the arrow of Fleshy. Minions will do enough damage to take down that tier 2. It is a 5-2 turret count for that 6,000 gold lead of Cloud9.
Yeah, the gold lead is just enormous now, and despite the good laning from Revenge earlier on in those 1v1s, you know, Fudge gets ahead through the team fights and really good coordination from C9. You know, Blaber was always there helping him out when he needed his lane to be fixed, and then gets that triple kill down on bot side, gets 2 kills when they look for those dives on top side. Now you can't even approach this guy. He's basically a full item ahead of the Gnar.
Oh, yeah.
After all of this, and it becomes so difficult then to actually deal with him. It's going to be really difficult.
Frozen Heart, too, giving him the extra ability haste, as well as the armor that protects him against everybody not named Viktor, because it's Warmog Sejuani. She does no damage whatsoever.
And one of the nice things when you are actually going for these Frozen Heart builds is it's a lot easier to tower dive because you actually have some armor, so you're much more resistant to the turret. You can kind of shrug off a lot more of that. You obviously get bonus resistances as well when you use the ultimate on those on enemies, so going to be very difficult to actually chunk him down. And I just said difficult so many times, and now I'm just like, why am I saying difficult? It's going to be difficult to stop saying difficult here.
Yeah.
But I'm going to work on it.
You know, sometimes talking's difficult.
It is. It can be. It can be tough. Oh, see, I use a different.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Rather challenging, one might say.
Yeah.
We've got Cloud9 in a position that is anything but challenging right now. They're in total control of Summoner's Rift. Fudge has no fear whatsoever of anyone. The cooldowns on the abilities get pretty low as that ability haste gets stacked. It's why I wanted to bring up the point about the Frozen Heart. By the time he ends the counter-strike, it's only 5 seconds away from happening again. Revenge can't do anything about this. It is completely out of control in the side lane. Meanwhile, the rest of his team is up overtaking Baron, and he's just going to continue pressuring the bottom lane tier 3.
He has TP, so they can't even do anything. If you walk up, you're going to get TP flanked, guaranteed, and you'll just die. So checkmate pretty much in this situation here.
Yeah.
Immortals not going to be able to answer bot, not going to be able to answer Baron. They're going to try to run down here and see if they can catch Fudge, but
yeah, they want to dogpile him. They realize that's about the only chance they have. Tactical pops the Sivir ulti there. With Kenvi providing the CC, Fudge is going to have... Nope. Wait, hold on. Fudge might just be able to... Never mind.
It's close.
Never mind. I thought for a second he was going to try to get all the way away, but then he just went back in instead, tried to fight it out.
Yeah, he didn't have the leap strike. Yeah. I think what he was hoping is that he could turn, threaten them for a split second, and his leap strike would have been back up again. He'd just use it on his pink ward, and then leap strike to the Lulu, right?
Right, okay,
and then get out that way. I think that was the thought process. Because leap strike is a comically low cooldown at this point in the game when you have all of that CDR. So he was probably like a second, maybe 2 seconds away from having the Q back up. And then if he gets over the wall onto Lulu, maybe he's actually out of there. So they do lose the 1 kill. There's no Baron onto the Jax. Sucks, but who cares? At the end of the day, you're 7K up. You're looking really, really good in this game. And Immortals' only real chance, I feel like, is kind of overloading one part of the map and trying to really punish someone who's overextending. So maybe you send 3 for Jax, you get a quick kill there. That buys you some time to then find another in. Because at this point, even the Zeri, who has kind of just been quietly farming away, is going to be really difficult to deal with. You know, 254 CS, we're not even at 23 minutes, and he's got a Lulu behind him. So it's going to be tough to actually get in on him and do anything about it. Also, interesting mythic purchase here from Blaber. He went with the Even Shroud. So it's kind of the support engage one, which is amped damage, 10% increased damage for 5 seconds after you CC or immobilize. I think is it just immobilizes? Yeah, so it's any immobilize. So your root, you knock them up with your Q or anything like that, your ulti. So it's going to be even more burst damage. And he's just really facilitating his carries. He knows this game is not about him.
Well, we've got the teleport showing up down here in bottom lane for Fudge, who will lead the charge. And there's the follow-up from Blaber for some of the CC out of the Maokai ulti. Fudge dropping the counter-strike on top of everybody, but he will be killed. Immortals are able to fall back and focus fire the Fed player on C9 and take him out. C9 still managing to achieve the force down on both the tier 3 turret as well as the inhibitor here in the bottom lane. Berserker is still alive.
Zeri time!
Can the Zeri find the kill? Yes, he flashes forward into the ulti. He goes on the killing spree, and he needs a little bit more. He should be able to get just that. He'll pick up 2 and send the remaining 3 back into the fountain to try to heal. Unfortunately for C9, the other waves are nowhere nearby. They can't push this forward into any other leads, and now they're going to recall.
Yeah, they're going to recall, spend up that gold. That was honestly pretty close to being a penta. That's one of those things where you're a couple autos away, if not for that slow coming through, if not for the chunk that actually comes down and the flashes being available, he would have been able to clean everyone up there. That got really scary. But Fudge, just simply put, I think was overconfident in this situation. He's feeling himself. He has 3 items. The enemy top laner is only on 1. You know, I think going forward here is totally fine, but then going forward again becomes a little bit much because you look how far he's separated from Berserker. If Berserker is there already autoing, but Berserker is a full screen away. He's not even able to actually hit during that entire time that Fudge is actually segmented off. So when you get that far away from your backline, where their backline can hit you, but your backline cannot hit them, that is almost always going to be a bad fight, and that's what happened there. C9, though, threatening it all in here again.
They're only going to find the very end of the CC for the Maokai ulti, so C9 just does not quite have the gap closed to get on top of him in time. Really like the Shirelias from Zven's Lulu to go along when you have a Maokai on your team, because it gives everybody the ability to follow in as the cavalry charge behind those roots, get that follow-up. Unfortunately, wasn't enough right in this situation, but the third Drake of the game for C9 is alive. They'll pick this one up, no contest. Immortals are at the point where they need a Cloud9 mistake. This game is so far out of their control now, with Soul Point being Cloud9's situation on the Drakes, with the bottom lane inhibitor already being destroyed. They need some sort of a mistake to punish, and we'll have to see if Cloud9 gives it to him. I mean, Fudge is still playing very aggressively here in the bottom lane on this Jax.
But he's got a lot of wards, right? Yeah. There's a ward right here that was covering him. There's a ward right here that was covering him. So even though this ward around that area got swept out, doesn't really matter. He has full information pretty much, or at least close enough to full that he's going to be safe. And Jax, unlike things like Fiora, you really can start to be a beast in those team fights. You kind of just need CDR. Once you get the levels under your belt, once you get the CDR under your belt, and he's an enormous amount as you're highlighting, it's very difficult to actually get away from this guy, because in the early levels, he leap strikes on you, you dash away, or you flash away, and he's kind of just stuck, right? At this point in the game, he's just jumping forward on you constantly here. It's a 3-second cooldown on leap strike. You're not getting away from this guy whatsoever.
That's a little oppressive. Immortals being forced back from the tier 3 turret here in the top lane now. Fudge stays on the front line. The counter-strike expires. He has to get back away. He barely survives it, as Diplex is going to be focused next. C9, they committed. They got the tier 3 turret, but it cost them a lot in terms of their health bar, so they have to disengage.
And it is worth mentioning that there's no true frontliner here on the C9 side. You know, Blaber went Demonic Embrace into Even Shroud. He's going for Redemption 3rd. He's not a full tank.
No.
Jax is a tanky build, but this is not a Scion by any means. He's got a Shojin, you know, and a Sunderer. Sure, he has a Frozen Heart. Sure, he has a little bit of MR, but they have no real tank. So Sivir Viktor are always going to be threatened, right? And when Death Cap is actually completed here, when the third item is completed for Tactical as well, which is going to be an LDR, they are going to have a significant amount of damage here that they can actually put in on these frontliners. So Fudge still has to play these lanes out well, still has to play out these team fights very, very well, because if he does make mistakes and missteps, you're going to get burst down.
Well, Fudge and Berserker will take away the enemy blue. Why not give a little bit more ability haste to the Jax? Get that leap strike down to a 2.8-second cooldown or whatever it would end up after that. Baron spawning here in 10 seconds. Cloud9 have control over the map. You would expect them to have priority over this pit. Kenvi's going to find Fudge face-checking the brush, and there's not a lot he can do about it. Has to Arctic Assault back over the wall. Revenge is still in the bottom lane right now. He does have the ability to TP in if he needs to. Diplex using his teleport on a ward behind Immortals, seeing if there was an opportunity to flank, but Immortals are staying grouped up to the right of that location. So now that just means C9 will move into the Baron pit, move into the topside river, and force a response from IMT.
Yeah, they're trying to get the TP at the very least from Revenge. Revenge is trying to prep his Mega Gnar, and now he's going to TP in.
Berserker gets stunned up by the Ashe arrow, but now they're ready to counterattack. Here comes Fudge, jumps in, finds the stun on 3. They've already killed the enemy jungler, they've already killed the enemy top. They're gonna stop anytime soon. Fudge keeps leading the charge, and AblazeOlive has to try to kite it out. The Ghost might be able to get him away, but the leap strike is once again too fast. A double kill back to Fudge, and Blaber wants to run down the last man of Immortals. Zven and Berserker come flying in over the wall, and that'll do it. 5-0. 17-5 overall, the second triple of the game for Fudge, and C9 will walk it in.
Cloud9, a really strong showing here today. Blaber, I think, played a near-perfect game, setting up his lanes for success, really enabling Fudge to get through those difficult early levels, and then Fudge just started to take over, winning those team fights, getting himself ahead, and really becoming unstoppable.
C9 bottom lane duo also both remaining deathless by the end of this one. You talked about the quiet scaling of the Zeri, and then just being able to pop off in the team fights, supply the DPS. Cloud9 gonna do exactly what EG did, move up to 6-2 in the standings, stay within that striking distance of FlyQuest at the very top, make sure that they're giving themselves the best possible record heading into the second half of the split.
Yeah, absolutely. This was obviously a very different style of game than the last one, though. I think Cloud9 played it out pretty cleanly. You could throw some small criticisms about maybe Fudge shouldn't have gone so far and died in that earlier fight, but I think Cloud9 did a really, really good job of pushing the pace of the game forward constantly. Once they got that lead on Fudge, they were always in the face of their opponents. They're taking away jungle camps, they're expanding the gold lead throughout those later stages of the game very, very consistently. They're showing up to Baron